Hey, good morning, everybody. Well, welcome. It's great to see everybody. I know there's some folks still traveling in from a little bit outside of the triangle, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We also have a number of folks online, and thank you for being here and welcome to RTI's Symposium on Community Safety and Policing Research. Really proud to be hosting our 9th annual event on these topics that are so critical involving police research, community safety, and public health. Over the last decade, our objective has really been to provide scientifically grounded and data-driven guidance to law enforcement, to community organizations, to government policy makers. One of the ways we've been trying to do that is through events like this, bringing a diverse group of folks together to discuss some successful practices, to discuss ongoing challenges, and how we can kind of work together to address and also think ahead about what's coming next. This is also the 5th year that we've been co-hosting with the North Carolina Justice Academy, which has been a great partnership and extends from the partnership we have with a lot of the agencies in this room and online across the state and across the country. So we'll be hearing from Director Trevor Allen in a little bit. And I know folks from his organization are also participating. For those that don't know much about RTI, Research Triangle Institute, we're a nonprofit organization. We've been around since the late 1950s, dedicated to improving the human condition by turning knowledge into practice. Today, we're in Research Triangle Park, as many of you know, which is really an incubator for growth and innovation in the Triangle area, but also for the state and for the entire region. RTI was actually the first organization in RTP in 1958, originally focused on drug discovery and public health, and has since grown. And in the late 90s, we developed more of a criminal justice facing research organization, and we've expanded that over time. So it's really exciting to be at this point. We're able to host and convene events like this, but also build these relationships in our work. One of the things we really tried to do is bring that researcher practitioner perspective together and also find ways that we can translate what we're learning in our research and through data to the field, and then see how that's working and refine it and improve it over time. As I mentioned, this is a hybrid event, so we have a number of folks online. So when we're during Q&A and other things, we want to make sure we're using the microphone, just making sure, and we'll be taking questions from them as well. But this hybrid event, which we really moved to, during and before the pandemic, it's great because this event started really focused on North Carolina, bringing folks in North Carolina together, but that's allowed us to expand nationally and also have individuals presenting and participating in panels from across the country. As I mentioned, their goal is really diversity in folks here. So bringing together folks from federal, state, local government, public health, the medical field, the legal field, education, forensic science, and of course, community-based organizations. So really want this next 2 days to focus on innovation, how we can share ideas, how we can openly share challenges we're facing, including emerging topics. Things like recruiting. We know that recruiting within law enforcement, but then lots of other organizations is a major challenge right now. We know health and wellness is another major topic that for decades was really under-noticed and under-recognized. So the ultimate goal is to talk about promising practices, but also how these things can lead to evidence-based strategies. And really support the growth of evidence-based policies in our work. As we consider these topics around policing and reform and also the history of this event, wanted to acknowledge that this is the first event that we've held since the passing of our colleague Jim Markey, who passed away about a year ago on April 30th, 2022. For those folks that don't know Jim, he really worked tirelessly throughout his career. He spent 30 years with the Phoenix Police Department, 14 of those overseeing the sexual assault unit and cold case unit, where he directed investigations and also a collaboration, really established a collaboration within his community. His detectives investigated over 7,000 sexual assaults, which included over 80 serial rape cases. And Jim would go on to also establish the first cold case sexual assault team in Phoenix that helped investigate over 3,500 unsolved rape cases. Jim came to RTI. We really started on the Sexual Assault Kit Initiative project that we started in 2015. He was part of that from its inception. And he was one of those individuals that he came from the law enforcement field, and he always advocated for the law enforcement field, but he also realized that things always needed to improve. And he was also constantly thinking about how we could improve the field from within, and also had that victim-centered, really was doing his victim-centered work well ahead of his time. One of the things he did at RTI, included working on SACI, was leading a team that did an assessment of NYPD's sexual assault response. And that has provided a number of recommendations which are already making an impact in New York City. So just wanted to acknowledge Jim, as a friend and a colleague and a mentor, and that this event is really, has his spirit and has a lot of his ideals that we'll be talking about over the next couple of days. So a few themes I wanted to mention that will be relevant to what we're trying to achieve here and what we try to achieve in our work. The first is around partnerships. I mentioned the ongoing partnership with the Justice Academy, and the fifth consecutive year we're co-hosting with them. But we also have a number of really effective partnerships in the state, a number of law enforcement agencies that we've built that trust and that relationship with, where they understand we're going to be an independent organization and tell them what we're seeing, but also do that in a collaborative way that's focused on building from the strengths and trying to improve collectively. So that also includes Bill Hollinshead, who's here, who leads the North Carolina Police Chiefs Association, and other individuals. I know, Greensboro, Raleigh, Durham, number of agencies, but also some mid-sized and smaller agencies across the state. We're really proud about the relationships we've established with community-based organizations, public health, policymakers, the city of Durham, other cities, and also academia. We have a number of strong academic partners. So really proud of the partnerships we've established, and then we'll continue to look to strengthen over time. A second theme that's really critical to our role is this idea of really making a community-based perspective core of what we do. As this symposium has evolved, so has the emphasis on the community-based perspective and the need to really, for law enforcement, to make meaningful and long-term proactive relationships with community-based partners. Hence the name in 2023, we revised the name of this symposium to the RTI Symposium on Community Safety and Policing Research. And there's a number of examples of how we're trying to implement that. And we'll hear more about that in the panel tomorrow, looking at community violence interruption and the work in Greensboro. The final theme I just wanted to highlight is this emphasis on the translation of research to practice. Really a core theme that you see reflected across the agenda and in our speakers, taking this cross-disciplinary focus that really is so critical when we think about addressing drug overdose, community violence, the topic of investigations, where we're really seeing strong evidence that building out in the investigative approach to include victim advocates, embedded crime analysts, forensic liaisons, technologists, and so on, can improve outcomes not only for investigations, but also for victims that are impacted. So that broad cross-disciplinary perspective is really core to what we do. Just a few highlights about what we'll be talking about over the next couple of days. In our first panel, we'll hear more about the North Carolina Responder Assistance Initiative. Chief Hollinshead, who I mentioned, also Aaron Beck, who's a trooper with the North Carolina Highway Patrol and plays an instrumental role in that law enforcement assistance program. You also hear from RTI researchers, including some highlights from the body armor accreditation program that RTI leads. In tomorrow's panel, we'll hear information about how public safety and public health are coming together to address drug overdoses, including those that concentrate around drug markets. Also, we'll hear more about some forensic applications, including forensic genealogy that's being used to make huge advances in how we think about addressing cold cases and preventing future crime. One other panel tomorrow that I just wanted to highlight is looking at data modeling to examine how civilians and first responders respond immediately following targeted acts of violence. And this really is ultimately going to benefit not only those trying to plan out how we can prepare and coordinate post-event, but also how we can think about other events, including mass shootings. So, ultimately, all these things come together with a core emphasis on conducting research that matters and that can be directly applied to practitioners. And that's really at the heart of what we try to do here. With the complexities of this world and everything going on, I think never there has been a greater need to work together to address these challenges. So really pleased to have this group coming together, and really also thankful to RTI for allowing us to have almost a decade of this event and for all their support in it. So next up, we are going to hear from Trevor Allen, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the Justice Academy, all the great work they're doing to build out and improve training for law enforcement across the state. So Trevor is online with us today. And Trevor, I'll turn it over to you.
That sounds great, Kevin. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. To everyone in attendance, either online or in person there at RTI, my thanks to Kevin Strom and Duran Banks for the opportunity to be with you, at least virtually this morning. I'm at a senior management meeting for the Department of Justice right now, so I unfortunately couldn't be there in person, or I would have. But I want to take a couple of minutes and just highlight a couple of items, as Kevin mentioned, that are being covered in the symposium and how they relate to training for us here at the Academy. Again, my name is Trevor Allen. I have the honor of serving as the director of the North Carolina Justice Academy. And our mission is to enhance the careers of criminal justice officers through research, education, and training. It's an honor to partner with RTI in the delivery of the annual symposium on community safety and policing research. The Justice Academy has had the privilege of partnering with RTI and this event for the past 4 years. So happy to be doing it again this year. Combining current research and industry best practices helps ensure that the Academy provides the most relevant, innovative, timely, and engaging training to our stakeholders here in North Carolina and beyond. The symposium plays an important role in that process. The topics covered in this year's agenda are once again directly related to our training efforts in North Carolina and to those in many other states. Since 2018, the United States has tragically seen 205 officer suicides per year. Although that rate has declined thus far in 2024, even one instance of officer suicide is one too many. So it is encouraging to see a topic on health and wellness being discussed today. No doubt we will glean strategies that will complement various training efforts made throughout the U.S. on this critical topic. Another issue that's facing criminal justice agencies is the enormous challenge of recruiting and retaining quality officers. A myriad of issues have negatively affected agency efforts to maximize workforce staffing levels. And while higher salaries and sign-on bonuses have provided some relief, much more work needs to be done. I look forward to hearing how today's session on best practices for the public safety workforce may provide sound strategies to help turn that tide. Day 2 offers an informative topic on how law enforcement and community-based organizations can work together to reduce community violence. Police-community partnerships have never been more important in addressing issues of crime and quality of life, and training plays a key role in that effort. My development staff here at the Justice Academy has recently completed a full revision of the basic law enforcement training curriculum, which is set to be released statewide next year. Included in the training are specific problem-solving and decision-making strategies to create officers well prepared to work alongside citizens in protecting their communities. Also included in this new 868-hour training program are dedicated topics on de-escalation and crisis intervention. And we have doubled the training hours for critical topics such as use of force and firearms. Further, the traditional training topic of physical fitness has been expanded to include officer wellness and health, incorporating content on mental health and resiliency. Partnering with RTI affords us and you the opportunity to actively engage with subject matter experts from around the world in identifying ways to continually improve everything from training curricula to agency procedures. I'm confident you will find each session highly informative and valuable. If you wish to receive an electronic or printed certificate for the completion of the symposium, please reach out to me at tjallen@ncdoj.gov, or you can call me at 910-926-6000. If you are a certified law enforcement officer in North Carolina, the training hours you receive over the next few days can be credited toward your intermediate or advanced certificate with the Criminal Justice and/or Sheriff's Standards Commissions. Again, thank you for participating in this year's symposium. Please stay safe and know that we appreciate all the hard work you do for your communities. And I believe I'm handing it back either over to Kevin or to Duran.
Thanks so much, Trevor. You are handing it back over to me. Hi, everybody. My name is Duran Banks. I also want to echo what Kevin Strom and Trevor Allen mentioned and say thank you for joining us today and welcome to RTI for this two-day event, which is the 9th annual symposium we've had focused on community safety and policing research. As I said, my name is Duran Banks. I lead the justice practice area here at RTI, which is a group of more than 200 individuals who are focused on more safe, just, and resilient communities. We're really focused on partnering with community members, partnering with practitioners, and understanding where there's issues that need to be addressed and focusing on science-based solutions that are implementable and that can make a difference in your community. So I appreciate you all being here and bringing your expertise from wherever you sit. If you're an expert because you sit in a community and you're a community member and know about the challenges that your community faces related to justice and related to community safety, we're interested in hearing about that expertise. If you're a law enforcement officer, if you're another kind of first responder, we are also really focused and interested in hearing about your expertise and what you face on a daily basis as you communities, learn about advances in technology and other ways to help you do your job better. We're really interested in talking with you, partnering with you, and understanding, again, how solutions can be implemented, how they can make a difference for you in your daily work and also in the communities that you serve. At RTI, our mission is to improve the human condition by turning knowledge into practice. Again, we're very much focused on science-based solutions. Last year, we unveiled a North Star strategy that we were going to impact the well-being of 1 billion folks by the year 2030. If you think about 1 billion folks, that's a lot. And my first question was, where are we going to start with that? Well, we start here. We start by talking with you all. We start by looking in our own neighborhoods, in our own communities, in the state of North Carolina and across the United States. And we also really focus on impacting the well-being of those individuals. We're not looking to touch somebody once and in a slightly insignificant way. We're looking at really focusing on communities, individuals, and thinking about the holistic well-being. We're thinking about their safety. We're thinking about justice. And we are also thinking about the resilience of communities. And how RTI does this is by investing in innovation and partnerships. And that's a lot about what you're going to hear about in a couple of days here, innovation and partnerships. Another thing that I think is really important that we in the justice practice area here at RTI focus on is what is the issue we're trying to solve? Not starting with the solution, but starting with the challenge. What is it about public safety? What is it about community engagement? What is it about how you go about doing your job that needs to be addressed? And start with that. And you start with that by talking to community members, talking to practitioners, talking to policymakers and stakeholders. You start with that first. And secondly, one thing we really focus on in our work here at RTI is the solution going to make a difference? And it can't make a difference if it's not implementable. A solution that doesn't work for you and how you do your daily work or can't be effectively implemented in a community is not one that is going to make a difference. So again, as you talk today with folks and listen to these engagements, I'd really like to hear your perspective on both of those issues. What is an issue that needs to be solved? What is a challenge you are facing? And secondly, as we start to talk about these solutions, really what is implementable in a way that is going to make a difference? Now, there's several areas that I want to highlight as far as how RTI has invested in innovation, partnering with communities. One is our Center for Evidence-Based Strategies to Reduce Firearm Violence. We launched this last year and have had a specific focus on North Carolina and looking at incident-based data to really understand complexities around firearm violence. And as we focus on North Carolina, think too about what strategies can be leveraged and work elsewhere across the United States, and what can we learn from federal efforts here to focus on firearm violence. And that includes suicide, it includes interpersonal violence, community violence, and violence that happens in the home. Another area that we've really focused on is making connections across systems and really thinking about a holistic approach to the challenges that you all see in your communities. So partnering with health systems, partnering with first responders, partnering with community-based advocates and public safety professionals too, as a way to really address persistent and also emerging problems. Some of them may have to do with the opioid crisis, which you'll hear a little bit about today. Drug overdose deaths and also community violence interruptions are just a couple of examples of ways that we can think about more holistic and multidisciplinary responses to challenging issues. Another area that you're going to hear about is kind of data modernization and really looking at advanced analysis techniques. Kevin mentioned a presentation you'll hear tomorrow related to targeted community violence and how we're using advanced, have to look at this on advanced agent modeling to look at how organizations and community members respond into the event when there's targeted violence. And this has implications for all types of violence. We also have, RTI has invested in a tool called Rarity, which is a dashboard that looks at very different measures of social determinants of health. It uses machine learning techniques to examine community measures at the census tract level and also at the zip code level to really understand the challenges that community members may be facing and how social determinants of health can impact well-being outcomes. And this is a tool that we released last year that's available online. A third area I want to mention, and I've hit on this a bit before, is partnering with practitioners, with experts in communities and in public safety. And again, this is where we really are looking forward to partnering with you all over the next couple of days and going forward to understand the challenges that you face and looking at holistic approaches. And also hearing from you about the challenges as there have been advances in technology, also advances in analytic and forensic techniques. What are the tools that you need to really understand how those can be implemented in a way that further investigations, further public safety, and help you in doing your job better? So again, I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for joining us today, both the folks that are in person and online. And I have an ask of you, and that ask is to be fully present and engage with us. Take advantage of the opportunities to ask questions after presentations, to network in between presentations and at lunchtime and afterwards. And for those online to ask questions via the chat, also follow up with us offline, later on as after these presentations. And again, as you do, I'd really appreciate your engagement on those two areas of identifying clearly the issues that you are facing. And secondly, as we start to talk about solutions or potential solutions to those issues, what's going to be the challenges to implementation and what are going to be the challenges to really focusing on those solutions in a way that's going to make a difference for you and your job and in your communities.